Take 4. Music too loud in the background, commercials, whatever the case may be. So, I started this out originally with what I thought would be a funny comment. What do you do at 3 a.m. in the morning when you can't sleep? You sit up, you drink coffee, and you think about things. Or you write novels. I'm not good at writing novels. So with that being said, I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. I'll never claim to be an expert. I'm self-taught survivalist. For the most part, I'm self-taught as far as these guns are concerned. That and a graduate of YouTube Academy. So, I want to talk about a couple of things. This chilly October morning, towards the end of this journey. New doors open. Survival rifles. A, they need to be portable. Easy to carry, break down, fold, fit in a pack, whatever. B, they need to have not too much weight. We're talking about survival here. We're talking about lost in the woods, plane crash, whatever the case may be. You've got minimalist gear. You have no idea how far you're going to have to travel to get back to civilization, etc. Civilization has collapsed. Who knows? Most experts will say somewhere in the 5-pound range is about what you need for a good survival rifle. I agree and disagree. We'll get to that later. Caliber. I'm going to agree and disagree with several of the experts on this one as well. Easy to find, totally agree with. Lightweight, totally agree with. Good power, totally agree with. Noise, totally agree with. You don't want something that's too noisy. You want something with power. You want something that's lightweight. You want something that's easy to find. With that, I'm going to say 22 LR. I'm going to say 9mm. I'm going to say 5.56 223. And I'm going to just go into something that a lot of the other survival people will not talk about. 12 gauge and 20 gauge. Yes, typically 12 gauge and 20 gauge shotguns do not break down. Typically they are a little bit bigger. Typically they are more than 5 pounds. Can't disagree with any of that. But, and the 12 gauge ammo is heavy. 20 gauge ammo is not as heavy, but it's heavier than 22. It's heavier than 9mm, 223, and 5.56. Totally agree with all that. But 12 gauge and 20 gauge, specifically 12 gauge, is a universal. You can hunt with it, you can defend with it, you can target shoot with it, you can, you got slug, you got 8-shot, you got 9-shot, you got 7-shot, you got all kinds of options, buckshot, and you can take game and you can defend yourself with all of that. Now I say 12 gauge along with all the others because in a survival situation, they're going to be useful. You're going to be able to find them easier than you will some of the exotic calibers like the 450 Bushmaster, 458 SOCOM, which are good rounds, but you're not going to be able to find them as prevalently as you will with the 9mm, the 22 LR, 22 Mag, maybe even the 17 HMR. The 5.7's been gaining popularity, so you might be able to find some of them, but I would suggest sticking to the 22 Mag, 223, 5.56, 9mm, 12 gauge, 20 gauge. You're going to be able to find them just about anywhere. You're going to be able to trade with it for them just about anywhere. The fourth point, or D, that you want to think about is accuracy. You want good groupings. It doesn't matter what caliber you're using, you want good groupings. If you can keep it at a 1-inch grouping, that's awesome. You can take game with that, you can defend yourself with that, you can shoot distances with that. That's 1-inch groupings is awesome for this. 2-inch groupings, yeah, you're still taking game, but your accuracy is not as great. Now, if we're talking about a rifle that you shoot this thing and you got 1-inch grouping, bam, 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 1-inch grouping, bam, you're good. Barrel gets heated up and all of a sudden you're getting 2, 3, 4, 6-inch groupings. Nope, that's not good. That means less wild game to feed yourself in that survival situation or your family. So that's not good. The fifth point that I want to talk about is cost. On that, cheaper is not always better. Understand budgets. I understand budgets completely, but cheaper is not always better. Cheap plastic, cheap lightweight plastic breaks. Cheap lightweight barrels bend. Cheap lightweight barrels get hot and you lose your accuracy. Cheaper guns sometimes have not so good triggers, not so good springs, not so good firing pins. So think about those things. Cheaper is not always better. Next thing I'm going to talk about is pewpewtactical.com. Put out an article, 6 best survival rifles. You can check it out online. You can look it up, Google it. And they talk about 6 rifles in particular. I'm only going to cover 3 of them because I have experience with these 3. The other 3, I don't. There's one of them in there that I like. It looks pretty cool, but after seeing mixed reviews on it, I want to hold one and shoot one before I'll speak on it, and that's the Chiappa Little Badger, I think is what it's called. It's a folding 22 LR. The ones that I do want to talk about, though, is the Ruger 1022, specifically the breakdown model, because it breaks in the middle. Just a simple little lever switch or twist. I'm not sure exactly how I've never held the breakdown model. It looks like it's just a simple twist and come apart. Anyway, Ruger 1022 has been out for many, many years. Ruger 1022 has a solid reputation. It's affordable. It's in that 5-pound range. It uses 22 LR. Sometimes you can get them threaded, so you can run a suppressor if you want to. It's got a solid reputation. And unless you just get one that's been abused, a used one that's been abused to crap and back, you should have fairly good accuracy out of it. And it should keep that as well. Once you get it sighted, it should keep that accuracy. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about is the Henry AR-7, otherwise known as the U.S. Survival Rifle. I've owned one of these. That is a super cool little rifle. It is super accurate. It's lightweight. It's really cool. The barrel separates from the receiver. The receiver separates from the stock. Of course, the little 10-round magazines separate. The stock is only about yay long. It's a little thick. It's a little round. But that's because the shoulder plate is actually a cap. It comes off. The stock, the magazines, and the barrel all go inside. The cap goes back on, and when it's all inside there, it floats. Now that thing has a solid reputation. It's accurate. It's smooth. It's been used by the military for many, many years as a tool, as part of their survival kits. That goes with a lot of their aircraft. It's a good, solid little weapon. The next one I'm going to talk about is the Kel-Tec Sub 2000 9mm. Now I'm going to fade pictures of these into this video, so you'll see exactly which ones I'm talking about. All of them are affordable. All of them are in the $400 to $600 dollar range, doll hair range. They're not super expensive, and they work. They're accurate. So the Sub 2000 is a 9mm folding carbine. It has a pivoting trigger guard. You pivot that, the whole thing folds over top to the back. The stock is not adjustable, unfortunately. The charging handle is in the post for the stock. The back trigger, the rear sight folds when you fold the weapon, and the front sight is fixed with little ear guards on it. And when you fold it over, that connects to a locking switch that is on the top of the shoulder stock. And so it's pretty cool. It folds down to about yay big. A lot of them do come threaded, so you can put a suppressor on it. There is a model that takes Glock mags, Glock 19, Glock 17 mags, extended mags. There is a newer version out that has a different fold where you can actually put a sight on it and leave the sight on it. But then you've also got the option of putting a sight on it with a mounting plate that will allow you to rotate it off to the side, kind of like the magnifiers that some people use on their ARs. And then you can have a small sight on it, or you can even put a scope on it if you want to. That way, I would suggest a smaller sight if you're going to do that. Otherwise, the built-in sights work excellent. Like I said, it's 9mm. It's a nice, lightweight little weapon. It's fun to shoot. The downfall that I would say to that one is the locking mechanism for when it's folded, specifically the part that is on the buttstock, the shoulder stock. When you put that thing up to your shoulder and that thing is right there, that trigger, that little locking mechanism is like right there on the top. And if you cheek it, you can rub the cheek. Anyway, all three of those are excellent little weapons. When we're talking about survival again, I'm thinking about how easy am I going to be able to find ammo? How easy am I going to be able to remanufacture ammo? How lightweight is that weapon, etc. So those are all points that I'm thinking about when I consider a survival rifle. Something else to consider is, like I said, cheaper is not always better. The cheaper plastics break, the cheaper triggers break, the cheaper barrels get hot and you lose your accuracy, sights fall off, etc. So just because it's cheap and lightweight doesn't make it good. With all that being said, see you on the range. Hope and pray that none of us end up in that survival situation, but if we do, there's some info and there's some rifles to consider. Pew pew.